These are 12 major celebrities who crossed Johnny Carson so badly with their malicious intent that he banned them from The Tonight Show forever.
I did put up a red flag with Lauren and others, and they were like, oh, please, Johnny, be fine. But that was it. I was never went on the show again.
What we're about to reveal comes from Mark Malkoff's 2025 biography that finally exposed Carson's secret blacklist, a list that insiders denied existed for decades, but the truth is now out. Tonight, show producers spent years insisting that Johnny Carson never kept a banned guest list, maintaining he was too professional and too classy to blacklist anyone. Malkoff's recent book, drawing from interviews with people like Burt Reynolds and Rich Little, confirmed what many suspected all along. So make sure that you watch the video till the end to find out the guests that came to The Tonight Show with possible malicious intent that got them banned. Number 1. Ellen DeGeneres, defying direct orders. Ellen DeGeneres made history as the first female comic on the Carson-era Tonight Show in November 1986, and her debut was so successful that she was invited back. By May 1987, she was making her third appearance, and that's when everything went wrong.
Hollywood, and she's going to be opening for Dolly Parton at the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City, May 22nd through the 24th. And May 26th through the 31st, she'll be at the Punchline in North Lake, Georgia. Would you welcome Ellen DeGeneres?
So Ellen's a pretty good name, you know. That's a tough job for a parent to name a kid the rest of your life. That's a big responsibility to be a parent.
Before the show, Carson's staff gave Ellen explicit instructions to drop certain material from her set. But when Ellen walked out on stage that night, she performed the exact material she'd been told not to use, which can also mean that she possibly had some malicious intent behind.
And you say, oh, what a cute baby. The woman always say, my name's Tammy. Say I'm 4 weeks old. Say I'm cranky because I didn't have a nap today. And Mommy dropped me.
She probably did that intentionally. Publicist Charlie Barrett confronted her immediately in the green room with these words: "I told you not to do that material." Ellen was told point blank that she wouldn't be back again too soon. She never appeared on Carson's show again, though her next Tonight Show appearances came in 1989 when Jay Leno was guest hosting, not Carson. Number 2. Orson Welles, the magic trick that ended a friendship. Filmmaker. Orson Welles was a frequent favorite who had even hosted the show 5 times. But in 1978, Welles announced he would perform a mentalism trick on Carson. The trick famously failed when 2 audience members who were supposed to help Welles's calculation gave the wrong answer. But here's the thing. Carson wasn't upset that Welles failed. The fury came from the fact that Welles lied, because those audience members were plants, helpers that Welles had secretly arranged beforehand. This was clearly a deceptive and malicious act, according to me. To Carson, a magician himself, using audience plants was inexcusable because it violated the trust between performer and audience. Carson never invited Welles back as a guest. Number 3 and 4, the psychic performers, Uri Geller and the amazing Kreskin.
He says that he claims to have been born, as I understand it, with the power of having psychokinetic ability, which is the movement of objects by sometimes not touching them, by the mind. He's been on shows where objects have bent, things have broken just by touching them. Would you welcome, please, Uri Geller?
Carson had a particular hatred for performers who claimed their tricks were the result of genuine psychic powers. And as an amateur magician himself, he loathed this kind of deception.
He is really suspicious, you know. I'm having a hard time with you.
I don't mean to be, Uri. I really don't.
Just keep looking.
Uri Geller, famous for his spoon-bending act, was banned from the show for claiming genuine psychic abilities, and similarly, mentalist the amazing Kreskin was blacklisted for the same reason.
Let me know I can't even say anything to them that would guide them suggestion-wise. This one here. Now, time being as it is, let me just turn this over. Please. Queen of Hearts.
6 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds. 10 of spades and a 2 of clubs.
Happy Valentine's Day. Go. 2 of clubs.
2 of clubs.
6 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds.
Queen of Hearts.
That's the last would be.
And
10 of spades it is.
Carson had little patience for performers who he felt were maliciously deceiving the public with claims of supernatural powers, and both were permanently banned from Tonight. Number 5. Dana Carvey, the SNL impression.
But offstage, he could be really bad.
Oh, once he went cold, that was it. I was just blacklisted.
Oh, and he did that to you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I just didn't get invited back, but I didn't blame him. My thing was always really loving embodying. It was the only time I was, as a performer, didn't care if I got a laugh because internally I was laughing so hard.
In 1990, comedian Dana Carvey was riding high on Saturday Night Live with his celebrity impressions, and one of his most popular characters was his Johnny Carson impression. Carson absolutely hated it because Carvey's SNL skits portrayed Carson as old and out of touch, using crude language that the real Carson never used, and it shows that it was probably done with some malicious intent to possibly harm the reputation of Carson.
This is fun. This is wild stuff. You see this ad? You just do this. You go whoop whoop whoop, and they go crazy. It's just wild, weird stuff.
Yes.
Tonight Show producer Jeff Sotzing noted that Carson wasn't a fan, with Carson himself saying, "I don't talk like that. I don't use those expressions." The impersonations made him feel old and confused, and the final straw came when Carvey did an SNL sketch with guest Arsenio Hall, where his Carson character appeared completely senile.
And then there was one sketch that did make him come off a little senile. I think that Susan Day was on, and Johnny didn't know that the Partridge Family hadn't been on in 15 years. So is that a good show for you? How's that David Cassidy? I mean, the girls really like him. And I didn't write that one, and I did put up a red flag with Lauren and others, and they were like, "Oh, please, Johnny, be fine." But that was it. I never went on the show again.
Days later, Carson addressed it on air with a sarcastic quip about being senile and a couple of old farts. But behind the scenes, Carvey was permanently banned from Tonight. The comedian never appeared on the show during Carson's remaining years as host. Number 6, Steve Allen. Even predecessors weren't safe. Here's an astonishing one that shows nobody was safe from Carson's wrath. Steve Allen, the original Tonight Show host, was banned by Carson after guest hosting under him multiple times through October 1982.
The original Tonight Show came on here at 11:30.
Yes, live. As a matter of fact, at one point we were starting at 11:15 because it had been a local show before it was a network show, and we still had to do 50 minutes of that and then the 90 minutes.
According to Malkoff's book, Allen offended Carson by joking about Carson's injury and yelling at crew members, which again looks a bit malicious. When Carson learned that Allen had been rude to staff, he barred him from appearing, and Allen later returned to the show only on episodes hosted by other guest hosts like Patrick Duffy and Jay Leno, never when Carson himself was at the desk. Number 7, Carl Sagan, the scientist who committed the sin of being right. Astronomer Carl Sagan was a popular Tonight Show guest with about 24 appearances to his name, and he and Carson had developed a genuine friendship. That friendship ended in January 1986 during a discussion about Halley's Comet.
Technology just barely has come to the point where we're able to send spacecraft to probe in a halting and tentative way the nearby planets, and in which we're able to construct large radio telescopes to see if anyone is sending us a message.
While they were talking, Sagan corrected Carson on air about a factual mistake, and it was polite and accurate. But Carson privately felt slighted and possibly sensed malicious intent by being corrected in front of his audience.
My next guest is truly what? First guest. What did I say? Next guest. And you corrected me in front of millions of people, didn't you?
Despite his respect for Sagan's work, Carson made sure the astrophysicist was not invited back. And after that 1986 episode, Sagan became persona non grata on Carson's show. Number 8, William Shatner, breaking all the unwritten rules. Actor William Shatner's 1983 appearance is a masterclass in how to get banned without even realizing it, because during his interview, Shatner unwittingly broke multiple unwritten Tonight Show rules all in one sitting. Now, this isn't exactly malicious, but Shatner first spoke in a flat monotone for several minutes without letting Carson interject or participate in the conversation.
People don't expect me to be funny, I guess, and so the guy had submitted some material, and I said, no, that doesn't seem like it would be right. And he said, well, what about this? They say that when you read the phone book, a good actor can make it interesting and a great comic can make it funny. So he gave me a list of names.
Then he turned his back to the host to talk to fellow guest Buddy Hackett. And third, the biggest offense, he mentioned that his TV series was on ABC. You could plug your show on The Tonight Show, but you could never mention which network it aired on. Carson was irked by these breaches of protocol and made him persona non grata, and Shatner later said Carson would get a hate on for people and simply blacklist them. While Shatner would eventually come back to The Tonight Show, it was only when Jay Leno or Patrick Duffy was guest hosting, never on Carson's own couch. Number 9. Jerry Lewis. By the summer of 1975, comedian Jerry Lewis had appeared on Carson's show over 80 times as a guest host, and was considered part of the Tonight Show family. That all ended during one frenzied guest hosting week when Lewis lost his temper on Don Schiff, the show's cue card man.
Excuse me one second. What the hell's he holding up a card telling me to do that, and you're telling me not the hell to do that? I mean, the people are watching me. They don't see you laying there like a Jewish frog on the floor. You want to do this now? Come over here and tell me to do it now. Yes.
Dad.
Oh, yes, of course. I'd be very happy to.
Schiff told Lewis he couldn't write out extra material at the last minute because they were already pressed for time, and Lewis blew his stack and screamed at him. When Carson heard that Lewis had been verbally to a crew member, he made a quick decision because Carson did not abide bad manners, especially toward his staff. The message was clear and final. Lewis would never guest host or appear on the show again. Lewis made only one brief exception later, but otherwise never returned under Carson's watch. Number 10. Joan Rivers. The betrayal Carson never forgave. This is perhaps the most famous and heartbreaking ban on the list because Joan Rivers had been Carson's protege and had guest hosted the show multiple times. They had a genuine friendship that went beyond professional courtesy.
You don't need big feminine. Look at Liberace.
In 1986, Rivers jumped to Fox to start her own late-night talk show, and Carson saw this as a complete betrayal. While there's nothing malicious about the incident, Carson not only banned Rivers from his own show, but made it clear that anyone who appeared on her show could forget ever being on Tonight again. The two never reconciled, with Rivers later saying Carson never spoke to her again before his passing in 2005. She deeply regretted this wedge between them, but Carson took his grudge to the grave. Number 11. Barbra Streisand. The last-minute cancellation. Singer and actress Barbra Streisand was reportedly banned in the mid-1970s after canceling a scheduled Tonight Show appearance at the last minute. Carson felt slighted by what he considered a lame excuse for the cancellation, and according to biographies, Streisand allegedly found herself banned after that incident. She never returned during Carson's entire tenure as host. Number 12. Jay Leno. The comedy set that ended everything. One of the most ironic bans belongs to Jay Leno, the man who would eventually become Carson's successor. Leno made his Tonight Show debut in March 1977 and became a recurring guest, with everything seeming fine until his 5th appearance in February 1978. That night, his comedy set fell completely flat, and according to Malkoff, the audience laughs were so light that Johnny decided never to invite him back.
Called the weather today.
Have you looked outside?
You reading about the weather back east? What's been happening in Buffalo and Pittsburgh? It's the same man who talks to the television at home. Look out, Kojak! Thanks, viewer!
Producer Peter LaSalle was brutally honest about the whole situation. Johnny just doesn't like him. He doesn't like his jokes. Leno never appeared on Carson's Tonight Show again during his entire tenure as host, which makes the ending to this story pretty wild. Leno eventually returned to The Tonight Show in 1992, but only after Carson retired and Leno took over the hosting chair himself. What these stories reveal is a side of Johnny Carson that the public rarely saw, because on camera he was charming, quick-witted, and gracious. Behind the scenes, he ran his show with absolute authority and had zero tolerance for disrespect toward his staff, dishonesty toward his audience, or perceived disloyalty from his guests. Some of these bans seem harsh by today's standards when you consider that Carl Sagan corrected a factual error and Jay Leno had one bad comedy set. But Carson's Tonight Show was his kingdom and he made the rules, which meant getting banned wasn't just about losing a spot on a talk show, but was actually career damaging. The Tonight Show was the most powerful platform in entertainment, and being blacklisted meant losing access to millions of viewers. Carson passed in 2005, and his Tonight Show tenure ended in 1992, with none of these bans ever officially lifted by him. Most of these barred guests simply never reappeared on the show while Carson was at the helm, though some like Jay Leno eventually made it back to The Tonight Show, but only after Carson was no longer the host. These 12 celebrities learned that lesson the hard way, and their careers were forever changed because of it. In my personal opinion, I think majority of these banned guests actually came with some malicious intent on The Tonight Show. I would like to hear your opinion as well. If you like this video, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe now.